Love, that ever-flowing liquid fire of light, ever-expanding and illuminating truth, which is always revealed with wisdom, a spiritual nutrient necessary for vitality that is maintained through selflessness, a filter of ether that aids purity, which is love. Love, a limitless paper lantern floating into infinity on the intentions and actions of initiates of the mysteries. Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I'm your host, Ross Cessna, and together we are the Spiritual Phoenix. The intent of this show isn't to tell you what to think, but to get you to think and to originally articulate yourself in a way that is uplifting. We are the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow. And before I get into what I'm grateful for, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. This is the last episode I'm going to record for season 2, and I'm going to take a 2-month break, and I will begin recording again or releasing episodes the beginning of February. Winter is coming up quickly, and it's a time for rest and reflection. And I just kind of want to rest and reflect on what I've been through. I have some other things I have to work on as well. And I want season 3 to kind of have progressed this concept a little bit more. And I'm not in a position where I can transition into that yet. So I need some time off. I've just started working within the past month, and that's been a little bit hectic for me because I haven't done so in 2 years almost. And with the holidays coming up, I'm going to be working a lot more. So I'm going to be pretty tired and not have the energy to devote to this like I would like to, or to devote to the quality that I would like to put out there. So just wait 2 months. And my intuition kind of told me to wait till after January 31st to release anything. So that's what I'm going to do. And as far as what I'm grateful for, today I'm grateful I've given myself a chance. I was thinking as I was driving back from my walk that I went on 4 years ago around this time, I was in the beginning of about a year-long psychosis. 3 years ago, I thought I would never be able to integrate back into society to be comfortable in my own skin. 2 years ago, I was working a job, and I had tried my best, and I still kind of assumed that I would never really be able to work, and I was pursuing SSI, disability, which I'm not knocking people that need it, but for me, with my mental health stuff, everybody said that I didn't need it, and that it was all drug-induced behaviors and psychosis and things like that. Then a year ago, around this time, I had coming up on 3 months of clean time away from substances. And although it was still emotionally difficult because it was the holidays and I had never been through holidays clean, and holidays had always been a difficult time for me. And I was extremely isolated, and it was still better than it had been. And now with close to 15 months clean, and beginning to work again, beginning to really try to pursue having relationships, romantic relationships, or pursuing even conversation with the quote unquote public, like outside of the fellowship that I'm in. It's just surreal to see how much my life has changed just by me putting an effort to show up for my own life and to create the life that I want. I don't have any quotes for today's topic. It's kind of off the cuff because my old computer died. I had just got a new computer this weekend because I thought my other one was on the way out. And sure enough, it died, and I still had one episode that I had to get off of there. I got most of the important stuff that I needed off of there, so that's cool. Anything else just is what it is. And today episode is about being the flow. There's that whole saying, go with the flow, which I think is true at some levels of life. Um, but I was thinking about this on my walk I just went on. When you're going with the flow, you're still separate from the flow. And Alan Watts has this whole thing where he talks about how we see ourselves as these individuals or whatever, but when the Big Bang, if that is what created the universe, started billions of years ago, it still hasn't stopped. We're still part of that Big Bang. So how could we be anything but the flow? So being the flow is similar as to going with the flow in some senses, but it's not identifying yourself as separate from the whole process of the flow. So what does that really mean? Recently, I had been going on some dates with this one woman, and it became apparent to me that things likely weren't going to work out. But I decided that I had to pursue it anyhow because my intuition and my heart told me that I needed to. So I went against what my other part of my intuition which was saying, which is, you're going to get hurt. This is going to be bad. And I made this conscious decision, and I said, if I pursue this after this point, anything that comes out of it negative, it's not on anybody but myself. I identified with the flow of things. I committed to the flow, and I committed to the flow with the understanding of inherent consequences or inherent fallout of making that decision to be the flow in that direction. So by being the flow in that direction, what happened is pretty much exactly what I thought would happen. She just kind of fell off and ghosted me out of the blue. The very same day that she said, I hope no matter what happens, we can maintain contact. And then she just fell off. You know what? That's cool. That's apparently what was supposed to happen. And being the flow is just identifying, that that's what I chose is for whatever outcome. Because I had the ability to flow a different direction. I could have said to her, this isn't working out for me. This isn't what I want to do. But again, my intuition told me that no, that was not an option for me anymore. In this instance, maybe later on, if I get involved in overtly toxic situations, that would be the case. But yeah, being the flow is just being that change. It's like Bruce Lee says, be like water. Water flows. So I can't necessarily go with the flow. Going with the flow implies this sense of buoyancy and floating on the surface of this river of change, which there's times when that's what I had to do. I had to be carried by the currents of life in general. And now I thought I was above it. Now I'm down in it, as Trent Reznor says. I think that's the lyrics from the song. And it's weird to be in this like chaotic turbulence, because so much of my life, it was always trying to make plans and plotting a course. Alan Watts talks about how when you have the flow of the universe behind you, you can use that energy to get to that side of the river, that side of the river. You can use it to get to where you're going. And here's the thing, right now, I don't really necessarily have a definitive understanding as to where I'm going. I don't have a plan. I don't have a next move. I'm shooting from the hip and doing what feels right to me in this instance. With trying to establish my business, with doing my step work for the 12-step fellowship I'm in, with practicing self-care, with everything, like life is incredibly busy, and it's a busyness that I'm grateful for, but I have nothing but to do than flow with it. Like I can't go with the flow. I am the flow. Like my life changes from day to day so much that I have become fluid in things. And at first it was really uncomfortable because I was really resistant to it. And I used to think how fluid I was in life, but I really wasn't. Like when I was using, I thought, oh man, I'm so fluid. I go with the flow so much. But the reality was I was fluid when it was convenient for me. And when it wasn't, it would become very rigid, or there was like a rigidity in my fluidity. So in being the flow, I have to define what my core principles are, what core elements of myself I want to bring to situations, and then allow myself to fill out those situations and flow through them no matter what it is. So it's like in regards to dating, I have to maintain who I am regardless of who it's with, regardless of whatever. I have to maintain myself regardless of how I'm treated, because that is relative to me. I don't want to allow myself to fall into victim mentality anymore. Um, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Maybe some of you will get the difference between being the flow and going with the flow. Maybe I didn't articulate it the best. This is the best that I can have with no preparation, no notes, just experience. And I kind of like doing these kind of episodes better where like it really isn't that well fleshed out. Because again, it's being the flow. Like this is 100% spontaneous as it's coming to me, as it's coming out, like no filter on what I'm really saying. So how can you practice being the flow in your own life? This is going to sound completely counterintuitive in some ways, but some of the ways I've been practicing being in the flow is doing the exact opposite of what I would usually do. Like with starting work, I've been so consumed with like it's a seasonal position, and I've been so consumed with like if I do this, this, and this, I should get hired on. But like I'm putting these expectations out there when I'm setting myself up to be miserable. And I'm also trying to set myself up to an impossible standard because I'm trying to achieve perfection. So one of the things I've been doing is like consciously making mistakes. And it's like, no, I'm not talking about big mistakes, like, but like maybe I just say screw it and I set something like on a shelf where it doesn't go, or I stock things inappropriately, or like maybe I walk away to use the restroom when I would say, well, I need to wait. And I know that that's not like, that's so rebellious of me. Damn, dude, I'm cold like that. Um, no, seriously, it's like, but when I'm consciously doing things that would make me uncomfortable normally, I'm allowing myself to become more spontaneous later on because I'm not in this corral of old behavior. So I'm able to be the flow more often because there's times where I do just want to do whatever. And I'm like, well, I shouldn't do that. This is what I should do. And I'm shoulding all over myself. Maybe what the mistake I need to make will put something in somebody else's path that'll give them an experience they need. I don't know if I'm articulating that clearly. But when you think about all the synchronicities you encounter in life, how many of those synchronicities are premeditated by um, a mistake of somebody else or them just being unaware? So maybe in my hypervigilance or hyper awareness, I'm actually disturbing the universe more than I'm contributing to it in some ways. So you have to find, again, it's like a sense of balance to where the balance between being conscious and being completely unconscious, where you're like in it but not, I guess, of it, in it but not of it. I don't know. At this point, I'm just rambling and babbling like a brook. But yeah, I'll be back recording again in February. I hope to do some different things. I hope to explore new avenues of things. And yeah, with that, love and light. I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. I'm going to be adding some etched agate to my website soon that'll be for sale, and etched agate clock faces, some amethysts that'll be on sale. Tarot readings, we're still up there, $25 for, it says like 4-card reading or whatever, but there's more cards than that, and you get like a rune. It's a pretty intensive reading for $25. I think that's all I really have. Have some happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate anything, and enjoy time with your family and enjoy the winter. And I'll talk to y'all in a couple months. I'm also taking kind of like a social media detox for like 2 months. Still be posting stuff on Instagram because that's very light, but you won't really see me around Facebook much, except when I'm doing business thingies. So yeah, just take care and know that I will return. To quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. Love, that ever-flowing liquid fire of light, ever-expanding and illuminating truth, which is always revealed with wisdom, a spiritual nutrient necessary for vitality that is maintained through selflessness, a filter of ether that aids purity, which is love. Love, a limitless paper lantern floating into infinity on the intentions and actions of initiates of the mysteries.